Solve for theta. Sine of theta equals negative radical 3 over 2. Let's think about this. It's telling me some angle. What does theta represent, class? It gives me an exact value of the side lengths, of the ratio of the side lengths. Well, I need to think about where sine is negative. Tell me the acronym. Ready, set, go.
All students take calculus.
So I can eliminate which quadrants? 1 and 2. Because here they're positive. So my answer should be in quadrants 3 and 4. Raise your hand if you knew that. Okay, so if I use the unit circle, 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. That means for sine to be negative radical 3 over 2 is where? Where, class? What is that? So theta is equal to 4 pi over 3. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. Where is sine negative in quadrant 4? So here and here. Yes? Oh no! To solve the problem, we're taking the inverse. There's the on button. I'm trying to find the inverse to find this angle. This angle I'm saying is 4 pi over 3 and 5 pi over 3. But yesterday we learned that this chart basically comes from my graph. And I need to locate for the inverse of sine, it has to be between negative pi over 2 and pi over 2. Restricted the domain, negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. Class, is this between my restricted domain? Is it in there? No. How about this one? Do we say the answer is no solution? No. We can use co-terminal angles. What can we use, class?
Co-terminal angles.
So what would I do to this problem?
Add a rotation.
This gives us what? This is like negative 0.5 radians, right? Does that make sense? This is, if you just take out the pi there, that's negative 0.67 radians. That's too much. So I'm not going to accept negative 2 pi over 3. My answer is what? Negative pi over 3. Raise your hand if you got that. Okay? We did one problem kind of rushed yesterday, so this should be a good review for you. Notice how I'm using a lot of skills, aren't I? We reviewed the unit circle, where it's positive and negative. We talked about coterminal angles, right? Same position, ends up in the same quadrant. Does that make sense? Let's do the cosine. The first thing I need to do is do what? Do you guys see any... Matthew, what is the restricted domain for inverse of cosine? 0 and pi. Raise your hand if you got that. Remember, yesterday's long lesson, I didn't teach you guys the inverse of cosine in terms of the graph, but if you just memorize this chart, I need to have my inverse, my restrictions are between 0 and pi, so my answer has to be between 0 and pi. Hannah, accept or reject? 3 pi over 4 is between our restricted domain. Hannah, how about 5 pi over 4? Question. If I use a coterminal angle, would it be between here? No. If I subtract 8 pi over 4, I get negative 3 pi over 4 and it's not in here. I can add 8 pi over 4 and I get 13 pi over 4 and it's not in here. So the only answer we have is 3 pi over 4. Remember, your hint is the radical 2's are going to be the 45's. It's going to be the dot in the middle. Does that make sense? And you should recognize that because in your special right triangles, remember 45, 45, 90, it's one. The side lengths are 1, 1, radical 2, right? Gustavo, what is the other one? And the other location? 3 pi over 4. Raise your hand if you got that. Okay. Partner A, tell partner B, what is the restricted domain for cosine? And the other person discussed, are you going to accept and reject and why? 1 minute. Ready, set, go.